Welcome back to the Shine Wellbeing VegPatch. We're servicing VegTemple 4 today, continuing on with our series of reclaiming and taming. Today we'll be reclaiming and taming the LUFFA, DAHLIAS and many other things, along with picking some beans and having a bit of a chat. So glad you're here. Let's get our hands dirty. So here we are in VegTemple 4 and we've got our work cut out for us. Got some old pak choi that's going to seed now. Deliberately let this one go to seed because I thought I may want to save the seed. I've got some already, and you know what, I'm time poor, so I'm making a choice in not saving this seed. But if you wanted to, you just rip it out of the ground, store it, hang it up in your garden shed like so, and it'll dry perfectly for you. And then once it's perfectly dry, you then store it accordingly. Now, in envelopes or jars, depending on what you prefer. For me, I prefer the seedy briefcase because it works really well and it's very neat and organized. But it's really not that difficult to harvest the seed. Like, these are well dried at the moment, and I'm sure I'm going to have some naturally seeded, some that'll naturally come up in time here, because it will have dropped some of its seed. But if I was inclined to save the seed, and you might be, you just get the pod, split it open, and there you go. Seeds fall out effortlessly. Look at that. Beautiful, gorgeous little potential pak choi plants. So not difficult, super easy, worth the trouble if you don't already have your seed in place. For me, not a problem this season. Not all seed saving's that easy, but pak choi certainly is. This one's going to be enjoyed by the rescue hens. Corn is our next one to go. So, you know, I like to pull things out without disturbing the roots if I can. And that's a job done. These won't go to the chickens or the compost crew or the compost, because they're going to go for one of my clients' corn stalls where they raise money for a local school. So I've got a little bit of root there. This time, not great, but so be it. And they're all done. That's our corn done. Now, we've got this native viola that we talked about in episode 8. I'm going to leave it here for now, but when I come and do a full restoration and preparation of this bed for autumn, this is going to go. But the reason why I don't want to rip it out today is it's 37 degrees. It's too hot for the plant to come out. And it's a lovely, lovely plant. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep it. I'm going to pot it up and put it into the shade house and let it recover for a month or so. And then I'll use it in the garden because it's a great weed suppressant. So that's the reason why this guy's not coming out today. We've got some deadheading to do for the dahlias, so that's the next project. This LUFFA, it's actually tangled itself around some of the dahlia. believe the size of this LUFFA. It was hidden inside the dahlias. I'm just so darn excited about it. Back to deadheading. That's what makes the VegTemples so handy, is that I've always got some level of structure to work from. And sometimes I'll tie them on, sometimes I'll twine them like I did here, and sometimes I'll use a butcher's hook just to give them that little extra support. I really don't realize how much better the garden looks when it's just had that tiny amount of attention. And you know, I really missed it. It's like seeing an old friend or seeing your comments pop up. You know, so many of you have become very dear to me, and I really look forward to your comments and just having a chat about your gardens, my gardens, and all things well-being. Okay, I'm going to call that the end of deadheading. That's taken up a fair amount of time. Let's get on down to VegTemple 5, and where we're going to harvest some beans. This little stool has been a game changer for me in the patch. Just lovely to be able to sit down and not have to be bent over to pick. You know, when you're picking large volumes like this, it's a lot. Really is one of the great, most joyful things in life. Well, I find it is, just to come down to the patch and get things back up to running and enjoy some of the bounty. Picking beans, I mean, it's just a simple pleasure. And these were picked only a couple of days ago too, so they're just prolific, really. They're just really have done incredibly well. We've had a tough season for the veg patch, but the beans have just gone from strength to strength. But there's a couple here occasionally that I'm keeping. You see they're quite yellowed off, and that's because I'm going to keep them for seed. They've done so well, I'm so happy with them that I'm going to try the seed for next season. I think we've got the bulk of it there. It's up here now. So I just sort of think of in quadrants, you know, little sections, and work from that. And of course I'm going to miss some, but it's not the end of the world. Too big, I just give them to the compost crew. Anything that is rotten and yucky I'll give to the hens. These have been dangling in the slug pubs, so I won't be eating those. So if you're not sure of the slug pubs, they're great when you keep them set up with the beer. But obviously I've been a bit off with the garden of late, so I haven't been keeping up with my slug pubs, and I think that's why I'm having this snail issue now. So that'll be another thing that we tend to. But you know, when you look at this, it's a perfect, absolutely perfect size for the plate. The flavour in that is far beyond anything you're ever going to get in the shops. Only seconds ago, that bean was alive, and there's no transport, there's nobody handling it, there's no freezing, there's no storing, there's no bagging, there's no air conditioning. It's just as nature intended. And you can taste that. I don't think of the veg patch as a chore. It's not another job that I have to do. It's something that I'm fortunate enough to be able to do. I think a big part of vegetable gardening is for the peace of it. You know, where else in life do we ever get to sit still and just focus on nature and bring in a bounty at the same time? We just don't get that opportunity for most of us in our lives these days. But this creates that opportunity. And if you set it up smartly and consider what time you really do have to give and can commit to, you really can achieve amazing results with next to no effort. As I said, this garden's been abandoned basically for the last 6 weeks. Month to 6 weeks, I'd say it's closer to 6 weeks to be honest. In the peak of summer, and it has just copped it. The only thing I've stayed on top of, in all practicality, is bringing in a little bit of the produce, or bringing in the produce, sorry, I should say, and the watering. And because the watering's all automatically set up, all I need to do is just come down and turn it on and turn it off. That's it. So that's where the 10 minutes a day would come in, where I'd come down, grab what I wanted to grab for the lunch or for the dinner that day, and I'd flick the water on once a day in the summer for me, most of the time, and that's it. That's all the work it's had in the last 6 weeks. And you can see it's held up pretty well because the systems are in place, because we've got mulch, good thick layers of mulch in place, because we fertilize with the compost crew manure into the mulch. It's slow releasing, so I don't have to think about fertilizing too much. Well, I haven't done anything this summer, so you know that's all taken care of because of the systems in place. The water is all in place, so I don't have to drag hoses or mess around with sprinklers or worry about the time of day in which I'm watering. It's hot now. It's 10:30. It's clocking up to close to 38 degrees now, and the water is on the garden. It's happening as we speak, but because it's a drip irrigation system, the water's going into the root zone, not onto the leaves, so nothing's going to burn with the summer heat. This is why I say garden smarter, not harder. Don't make more work for yourself. Work out how you're going to cut corners and make it as efficient as you can so you can enjoy your life and your veg patch at the same time. Not to mention, fill your belly with a beautiful bounty of delicious, organic, fresh produce. All of the best businesses in the world have great systems, and part of my past was as an integrated systems manager. This stool alone, I mean, just having it out here nice and handy, available, it is great. You can pop your tools on it if you don't want to be putting them down on the ground. You can sit on it. It's just a wonderful addition to the garden. We've got another snail. So our slimy terminator's right here. We'll pop him in. He won't go to waste. His life will be valued because he'll go to the chickens. Working smarter, having the systems in place, makes everything so much easier. And it stops that dread. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that, but I have in the past, where I dread coming out to the garden because it's just gotten too far out of control. Missed one. It's gotten too far out of control and I just feel overwhelmed, so I just don't bother. And then it gets worse and worse and worse, and at some point you've got to either choose to do something about it or you've got to choose to let it all go. And I don't want that. I don't want that pressure or that, guilt. I want to be able to enjoy the journey. And that's why, have all these different systems in place, like the slimy terminators, like the little patch stool, why have the patch caddy, all these things are there so that it just makes the whole process more efficient and easier and enjoyable too. Because when I come down here, I have got a very limited window of time, running my own business, a household, trying to develop a self-sufficient lifestyle in all areas of my life. It means that my time is very, very precious to me. And so I really want to make sure I've got the tools I need on hand. I want to make sure I've got everything organized so that I can, spend an hour and get basically 4 hours worth of work out of it, because I'm not running around looking for tools. I'm not running around trying to find a comfortable way to harvest something or where to find a harvest basket. Even that you'll find in the Shine Wellbeing VegPatch, I'll have my harvest baskets hanging up. Now, not all of them are hanging up. I keep some in the house, in the kitchen, and some will be in the shed. But there's a good portion of them hanging up, so that at any time when I'm walking through the veg patch, a bit more off that one than I wanted to. Any time that I'm walking through the veg patch, I can grab a basket and harvest and take up whatever I'm seeing that's ripe. So nothing really ends up going to waste. Having something as simple as this, the bucket handy, means that I can take all of the stuff that I, break off of here unintentionally, or anything that's rotten, can just go into that bucket and go back to the rescue fence. But I don't have to go and bundle it up afterwards. I don't have to go and work out how I'm going to carry that down there in my arms. I just grab the bucket and off I go. That's the end of our beans. That's not a bad haul. I'll give you a quick look. Look at that. What an absolute beauty. We're going to move on to VegTemples 6 now, where we've got the capsicums, our double pink hollyhock, cucumber that's got to come out, some kale that needs a little bit of loving, and some seeded cos lettuce as well.